It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. Today's date's the 26th of February. It's a Thursday, so happy it's Thursday. And this is the C block, the Charlie block. By the way, John, I got to duck out of here, and I won't get the stuff cut up till later because I have my Thursday meeting group, which I'm going to see today. I didn't go see last week because I had to deal with my car. And by the way, I got another...
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
I got another nice email from the lady out at Chesterfield Police Department, and she's telling me that if I pay cash, I have to have exact cash. They don't give check for my... I still don't know when I'm going to get my body cam video of my infamous escapade where they thought I was either A, shooting at people on the Spirit of St. Louis bridge overpass in out there in the Chesterfield Valley, or B, I was trying to commit suicide by jumping off the bridge. And unfortunately, I think the Chesterfield police taped that seriously because we talked about it, I think, late last year.
Before. The best part of that body, thank you for that, Brad. The best part of the body cam video is the fact that you'll be able to use it as before you started banging your face with a hammer. And then you'll be able to show the after. And then you can resell Clavicular's course.
Okay, in the previous block, and John always does a good job, so do your review of where we were at, and people can review that. Do that again.
Yeah, we've reached a great point in the show, in our show arc, because, Brad, I've thought of bringing up clavicular to you, but I didn't know how to bring it up raw, like unprompted, and I'm glad you brought it up. For folks who are blissfully unaware, a big internet sensation in the last 6 months is a young man named Clavicular. That's his stage name, so to speak. And he's what's known as a black pill guy in the men's community. In B Block, we talked about it because Brad referenced an article in GQ, and Clavicular has become really mainstream lately. He spent some time with the Andrew Tates of the world, and I think all sides are freaking out about Clavicular. And as Brad, you did a great job doing in B Block talking about this, one of the controversial things as a looksmaxxer, as he called. And Clavicular didn't come up with looksmaxxing. It's been a thing for a long time. There was a guy named Wheat Waffles who talked about looksmaxxing a lot. It's men changing their physical look, not just by working out, but by going to extreme measures. And the theory behind it is that the theory behind the black pill mentality is that women prioritize looks over everything. Now, as a red pill guy, I think the black pill guys make some pretty decent points because women tend to underreport how important physical, visceral, raw emotion is when it comes to attraction. But Clavicular does things like bangs his face with a little hammer. He's been known to take illicit street drugs, not prescription drugs, street drugs, to suppress his appetite, which leads him to eating less, which makes him more lean, which is key to the black pill mentality. So that's a summary of it, Brad.
And he claims that he's taking so many drugs that he is now sterile because he's had essentially destroyed his potency. You know, we won't go into that. Okay.
Yeah, now, and let's put an asterisk here, Brad. He claims that. And at the beginning, I thought this was a marketing gimmick. And I thought it was pretty clever because I thought, okay, if he claims to do street drugs, he also claims that he began doing anabolic steroids at age 14. He says that he ordered them online illicitly and began doing them against his parents' wishes. And at first I thought he was making all of this up. But as time goes on, I think he actually does do these drugs. And he's since modified his claim to say he used to do illegal street drugs, but now he does a legal form of some version of Adderall, I think it is, to an extreme level to emphasize how lean he could be. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, like I told you, the article in GQ magazine where they did this backstage thing where he's getting ready to go on the runway and he's getting all these makeup on and stuff like that, they show him one of his handlers, I guess it's a young woman, who is injecting him in the stomach with something. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is weird.
Yeah, maybe it was, maybe it was a GLP-1 drug. Now, the Fashion Week story got a lot. I don't know if it's mentioned in the GQ piece, Brad, but did they mention conservative influencer Brett Cooper in that piece?
They did, but I want to get to one interesting point.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Please do.
He claims he's a conservative. I don't know if you say this or not. He claims he's a conservative, but he says that the 2028 election is going to be between J.D. Vance and Gavin Newsom. And he says...
And what did he say? Why does Gavin Newsom... What was the verb he used of why Gavin Newsom is superior to J.D. Vance?
Because he's a good-looking guy, and J.D. Vance is fat and ugly, essentially, in so many words, right? Do I get it correct?
That's it. And I want to continue with that, Brad, but the verb that's used in this culture is mogged. So if you go back to the 1990s and early 2000s, the community used the phrase amog. So, Brad, if you were at an event and you're talking to some low-level radio guy, and then Brad Hildebrand comes up, and Brad Hildebrand approaches the same set of women, and people are like, oh, my gosh, it's St. Louis Media Hall of Famer Brad Hildebrand. And Brad's like, oh, come on, it's nothing. I started the first major traffic and weather network in the entire country. It's not a big deal. That poor little low-level radio guy who was standing there trying to run game on these women, you just mogged him, Brad, because you are the male of the group. You're the alpha male of the group. So suddenly the women aren't interested in that little, we'll call him a urine ant from some rinky-dink radio station, because they're in the presence of St. Louis Media Hall of Famer Brad Hildebrand. You mogged him. And what Clavicular says, he says that Gavin Newsom mogs J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has fat in his face. He's a little pudgy. You want to grab him. I don't want to. But some people want to grab him by his love handles, whereas Gavin Newsom mogs.
But, John, not in defense of Gavin, not in defense of J.D. Vance because he's Republican or whatever, but if I had my choice of who I think is the most masculine guy, I sure as hell would take J.D. Vance, a former Marine. Remember, they say you're never a former Marine. You're always a Marine. J.D. Vance, I think, could probably twist Gavin Newsom in a pretzel in about 2 minutes. What do you think?
I agree completely. Now, let me ask you this, Brad. As a master marketer, what's more likely to get headlines? Clavicular saying that he sides with J.D. Vance, or Clavicular saying that he actually sides with Gavin Newsom?
No, I understand.
What's going to get him more mainstream attention?
I understand. One thing before we run out of time here, okay? I've talked about this a lot, and it concerns me as an old guy, okay? And I had this discussion with somebody the other day. As a matter of fact, over this week, do not know why, two of my female friends who are on dating sites started sending me, I don't know why they did this, it's like two of them, they started sending me pictures of guys that show up, they're on dating sites, and pictures of guys who show up in their profile as matches, okay? John, all I'm going to say is, OMG. If these guys think they are even going to have a woman look at them sideways, they are like out of their trees. I mean, two of the guys had now there are probably women out there that like this, but they had the ZZ Top beards. You know what I'm saying? You know, the ones that go down to their...
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
And most of these guys just look like they are clueless. They look like they forgot what a comb is for. They look like they went to the Goodwill dumpster and pulled the clothing out of the dumpster that Goodwill wouldn't even put on the racks. Get what I'm saying, John? I mean,
I do. Yeah, you're saying that, and these are the men that, again, we talked about this in B Block, but Rollo Tomassi is my favorite male author, and he calls them in his most recent book, which I recommend to any man. It's called Reignite: A Guide to Self-Reinvention. Rollo calls these Delta men. So, Brad, if you were to go to that Chamber of Commerce, Chamber's a bad example because people are there to exchange business cards and make empty promises they'll never follow through on. But if you went to the brass rail and you were at the bar, Delta males are the ones that women don't want to pay any attention to, even if they're buying drinks for the women. Like, Delta men are just invisible. So what your friends are doing, they're sending you screenshots, which probably violates terms of service, but they're sending you screenshots of these sad, pathetic Delta men.
Yes.
So if you are, you know what I'm saying, Brad? And you know what we do? We as men, I have to say it, we laugh at these guys because the girls will show us their pictures as we lay in bed with them post-romp and say, can you believe Mark thought he had a chance to undress me? Could you believe Kyle thought he had a chance to undress me? You know what I'm saying?
John,
like, to me, you get exactly what I'm saying.
To me, it's just sad. I mean, it's sad because of the fact that I've said it again. I'll say it again till I turn blue. Men in this country are confused because you got the View crowd who's saying, toxic masculinity, blah, 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 and this kind of stuff. I think it's sad. I really do. And
it is, Brad, it is sad. I don't disagree with you, but it also goes to show that evolution benefits men who take risks. If you listen to The View, you think that you need to ask permission to ask her out on a date. Ask the women in your life who you've successfully pursued or who you have successfully conquered. What did they feel like when you threw them up against a wall? When you grabbed them by the back of their hair, put your hand around their throat? Like, how did they feel, Brad? And did they say, I kind of wish you had taken me to Katie's Pizza and Pasta and talked a little bit about your law firm? No, they wanted you to take the initiative, put them in their place, and get them turned on.
I'm not going to make any comments because I've never put my hands around the throat of a woman. So,
Brad, you should. What's key, and this is important. You never actually. There's no choking. There's no pressure on the windpipe, Brad. There's an artery there, and men should research it.
No, John. You're getting a little bit too weird for me. I'm not that kind of a guy.
That's why I've successfully bred, Brad. And you look at my genetics, and I think you would say that I'm the winner. Brad, it's 8:01. I got to run.
John, I got you beat by one kid, though. You only got 3. I got 4.
There we go, Brad.
Okay.
Now, as of now, I only have 3.
Okay. That you know of.
I think there's probably a girl at WashU that's going to graduate in 2 years who, well, that's a different story.
Okay, that you know of. Okay,